This is the second part of a multi-episode movie-length DVD on how to prepare for the end times. In this episode, we answer the crucial question, are we ready for Jesus or aren't we? We are going to demonstrate 3 big reasons the church isn't ready for Jesus or his return just yet. In the first part, you saw that we were already in the outer bands of the coming spiritual hurricane known as the end times. But you're probably thinking, so what? My church and I are prepared. We're saved. That's all the preparation we need, right? Really? You and many in your church may be saved, and I praise God for that. Salvation is the change from spiritual death to life, our means to spending an eternity with God, and the starting point for being ready for the end times. It's super important. But the victorious Christian life involves more than simply being saved. No one is saved and then says, well, that's all I need to do now. No need to go to church, read the Bible, or testify about what Jesus has done for me. No need to love my neighbor as myself. Nope, I'm done. Being saved is all I need. So I'm sure you agree that putting it that way makes it sound silly, that all we need to do to prepare is to be saved. Of course, living the victorious Christian life requires much more. Being saved is a crucial step, but only the first step in preparing for the end times. The second piece of evidence that we aren't ready for Jesus just yet are his own words in the Great Commission. There, Jesus instructed us to teach and be taught all that he commanded. All that he commanded includes the 24 or so special commands he gave us for the end times. So again, being saved is just the beginning. But our Great Commission instructs us to do more than that. We need to learn and do all of Jesus' special commands, commands that we will go over later in this video series. There is yet another question that frequently is expressed to try and avoid preparing for the end times. Won't we be gone by then? Won't we be raptured first? Now in part 1, we explained how we are already in the end times, so this is a moot question. We need to be putting these instructions into practice right now, before any rapture. But what about the instructions that are specific for the Great Tribulation, you might ask? Certainly we don't have to put those into practice, do we? If you're asking me this question, you are among the 1/3 of evangelical Christians who believe in the pre-tribulation rapture theory. There are actually 4 theories about when the rapture occurs, and you happen to believe in one of the 4. Let me stress that this theory that the rapture happens before the Great Tribulation is just that, a theory. All 4 theories about rapture timing are just theories. But the Great Tribulation, that's a fact. It will happen. Jesus said it will happen in Matthew 24:21. We just don't know for sure if we will be here to see it or not. Now, all of us probably favor one theory over another, but under no circumstances should any of us trust or rely on a theory as being 100% sure. How would you trust in a theory? By saying there was a 100% chance you won't face the Great Tribulation. That is simply nonsense. No one can say that we will or won't with 100% assurance. You may think the probability is low, but it is not 0. So how does someone deal with uncertain situations, like not knowing whether or not they will face the Great Tribulation? After the 9/11 terror attacks, the U.S. government began operating under something known as the 1% doctrine to deal with just such situations. This doctrine states that even if the odds are very low of something horrible like a terror attack happening, say only 1%, if the impact of that event and the damage from that event is high enough, we have to treat it as if it is a certainty. And you and I experience this 1% doctrine every time we fly. Although the chances of a terrorist hijacking a plane are small, we treat that possibility as a certainty and take appropriate actions. That is why every time you or I fly, we have to stand in TSA lines to assure that we don't have weapons or even body lotions. It's a safety precaution. Because the potential damage from a hijacking is so great, all of us must prepare. Now, how does that apply to the rapture? If this is the generation who will endure the Great Tribulation, it will inflict the greatest damage of all time, hundreds of millions of times greater than any hijacking. So even if you believe the chance is low, even very low, we all must prepare for the Great Tribulation as if it is a certainty. We certainly must take more precautions than we do for a simple plane flight, don't you think? So if you believe in the pre-tribulation rapture theory, that's okay. Believe what you feel the Bible teaches, but prepare for the worst. If you believe in a post-tribulation rapture theory, that's okay too. But do more than argue about it. You must also prepare. The Bible speaks about this very thing in Philippians. There we read, we are no longer to be children, tossed here and there by the waves and carried about by the wind of every doctrine. And with the end times, there are lots of doctrines. But speaking the truth in love, we are to grow up. Whatever doctrine you believe about end times, that's okay. But let me speak the truth in love. On this issue, we need to grow up and face the fact that a great tribulation is coming. And there is at least a 1% chance we will face it. And whatever you do, don't gamble the lives and souls of your family and your church based strictly on your opinion of some man-made rapture theory. You can hope for the best, but you must prepare for the worst. Let me state that again. You can hope for the best, but you must prepare for the worst. So let's summarize what we've uncovered so far about preparing for the end times. First, Jesus himself gave us several dozen specific end-time instructions, even though very few teach them, and Jesus expects us to carry them out, to do them. Second, we are already in the end times, in the outer bands of that spiritual hurricane that is coming, closer and closer every day. And third, everyone needs to prepare, even if they think they'll be raptured first. And this is the mission of the Gospel in the End Times Ministries, to encourage the church all the more as we now see that the glorious day is approaching, to encourage them with specifics on how to prepare. After these first two episodes, I'm sure you are now reconsidering the question, are we ready for Jesus? Maybe not. Maybe there is something more needed than just being saved. So we invite you to click on the link for the third episode to learn God's plan for the end times and how you might fit in to those purposes. Because that is our purpose. Our purpose is to be a servant of the Most High God, to work alongside Him to accomplish what He desires to accomplish in the end times.